It's kind of weird because Jake Paul is extremely bigger than Tank. Yeah, I mean, but with it being exhibition, it makes sense.
I'm gonna start like this. First of all, if you're a boxer and you're not taking note or notice of what Jake Paul is doing, you're worried about criticizing his boxing skills, then you're the fool.
Jake Paul versus Tank Davis. They just announced the fight. What's your instant reaction to that?
I don't know what's going to happen with a 135-pounder going up against a 200-pounder. I think it's not a real fight. Jake just too big.
When two of boxing's most polarizing names collide, Jake Paul, the YouTuber turned headline grabber, and Gervonta Tank Davis, the pound-for-pound knockout machine, the combat world is buzzing. Davis brings ruthless power, lightning speed, and a resume stacked with elite victories. Paul, however, carries height, reach, and a history of defying critics on the biggest stages. Some legends insist Tank's precision and ring IQ will dismantle Paul with ease. Yet others believe Paul's size and unpredictable style could flip the script, creating one of boxing's most shocking upsets in recent memory.
You know what? Fair play. If he does go out and fight Anthony Joshua, which I wouldn't advise because that would be extremely dangerous, then fair play if he was to do that. And all the critics and people like myself would have to shut the hell up because I always said he's looking for fights that were manufactured, looking for fights that were predetermined. And by that, I don't mean fake fights. I don't mean fixed fights. I mean fights where the odds are so stacked in his favor that, of course, he's going to win. And, of course, we see this. The latest match that's going to go down November 14th at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. Jake Paul is taking on, you've seen it by now, Gervonta Tank Davis. A man that is a lightweight in boxing. Now, lightweight in MMA is 155 pounds. Lightweight in boxing, 135 pounds. Jake Paul, I think when he weighed in for Mike Tyson, was 227 pounds.
Official weight, 227.2 pounds.
That is, if I'm not mistaken, a 92-pound weight difference. Almost a 100-pound weight difference. It's insane. Let's say he comes in at 200 pounds. Still a 65-pound weight advantage, which is absolutely ridiculous. How can you be out there claiming to want to fight the best people on the planet and then going out there and taking on a guy that is maybe 92 pounds heavier, that is at least 65 pounds heavier than you? That is called one thing. That's called being a bully. It was bad enough when he fought Mike Tyson, a man that was 58 years old, and he was walking around like, oh, I just beat the man on the planet. I just destroyed Mike Tyson and went out there and I beat him, and him and his brother are all celebrating and shit like that. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
The highly anticipated showdown between Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis has a new home. Originally scheduled for Atlanta, the fight will now take place on November 14th at the Casa Center in Miami. Paul's promotion company, MVP, confirmed the switch with a fiery statement. The war is no longer in Atlanta. Jake Paul versus Gervonta Tank Davis takes over Miami. Same date, same fight, new city. The bout will stream worldwide on Netflix, sparking debate over whether it's a true fight or just another spectacle, as official announcements continue to brand it an exhibition. What cannot be ignored, however, is the massive size gap. Jake Paul last weighed in at nearly 199 pounds at cruiserweight, while Davis has been fighting at 135 pounds. Because of this disparity, Davis's WBA lightweight title will not be on the line.
Boxing fans are losing their minds over this Jake Paul versus Tank Davis fight. And honestly, can you blame them? Why did Tank agree to this? I mean, look at the graphics. Jake is 6'1", 199 pounds with a 4 wingspan. Tank, 5'5", 133 pounds, 5'7" wingspan. Tank fighting me would be a fairer matchup. We're basically the same size. And you wonder why fans think Jake's fights are rigged? Because every time we see some nonsense like this, it feels like WWE with boxing gloves. Here's the kicker, though. Jake threatened to sue anyone who calls his fights rigged. Yeah, you know, the same guy who preaches freedom of speech now wants to ban opinions. After that clown show with Mike Tyson that left everyone scratching their heads. Maybe, and I'm just throwing it out there, if your own management company wasn't promoting and sponsoring your fights, fans might actually believe what they're watching. Until then, don't be mad that people are skeptical. Be mad that your boxing career looks more like a scripted reality TV show.
The exact terms of the Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis clash remain unclear, with no confirmed contract weight, round limit, or confirmation on whether it will follow standard professional rules. This uncertainty has fueled intense debate among fans and analysts alike. Many see the matchup less as a legitimate title bout and more as a crossover spectacle, raising serious questions about fairness, fighter safety, and the respect for boxing's long-standing weight class system.
Tank is not the guy that knows how to sell a fight. Tank cannot sell a fight in his own division. You have the Paul brothers and they come over to boxing. Their idea from day one is we don't have the skills or the experience. What we're going to do is we'll take on the absolute best guys, but they're going to spot us some pounds. Tank has one job. But it doesn't make any difference. Boxing is a real sport. My skills versus your skills, of which I am an abundance of and of which you have none of. Tank is telling anybody that will listen that there's a size problem. My skills and my experience in boxing, I do not have to wonder who's in the bar tonight. Any bar I go to, I rule the bar. No, it turns out that you don't. Just need some big guy to corner you, apparently. Boxing has never stood its ground. Boxing has never been able to explain why Floyd needed a half hour to get rid of a guy who's never boxed before. Hank Davis has already began this. When you choose a dum-dum, don't be surprised when he goes out and acts like a dum-dum.
Terence Crawford has voiced clear skepticism about the upcoming clash between Jake Paul and Gervonta "Tank" Davis, pointing directly to the glaring size mismatch. For Crawford, this isn't a fight of equals but more of a spectacle disguised as competition, closer to a sparring session than a true professional bout. While he fully respects Davis's explosive skill set and proven championship pedigree, Crawford admits that Jake Paul's size advantage could become a factor. If Paul lands a clean shot, the momentum could shift dramatically. Still, Crawford doubts the matchup will unfold under standard professional rules, stressing that the weight gap strips away much of the legitimacy that defines a real contest between elite fighters.
Jake Paul versus Tank Davis, they just announced the fight. What's your instant reaction to that?
I don't know what's going to happen with a 135-pounder going up against a 200-pounder. I think it's not a real fight. Jake just too big. Tank ain't going to be able to get in from that jab. Jake land one good punch on Tank, it's over.
Shakur Stevenson, still undefeated and regarded as one of boxing's brightest young stars, has weighed in on the Jake Paul versus Gervonta "Tank" Davis matchup. Stevenson views the fight as unfair, pointing out the dramatic size difference that favors Paul. Despite this, he has no doubts about Davis's ability to control the bout. Stevenson predicts Tank will lean on movement, accuracy, and ring IQ rather than raw power, making the fight appear one-sided. He doesn't expect Davis to chase a knockout, but instead to box smartly toward a clear decision win. The same time, Stevenson criticizes the matchup as more spectacle than sport, arguing it disrespects boxing's traditions. Even so, he firmly believes Davis is operating on a level far beyond anything Paul can realistically handle.
Here, when you've got what is like a 70-pound difference between these two guys.
I mean, size will play some part of the fight, but if I'm thinking like I'm tanking, I'm probably just gonna go out there and try to outbox him and use my knowledge and IQ against him. So I can see Tank just outboxing him and making it real easy.
Is there any way any realistic or legitimate way in your mind you could see Jake Paul winning a fight against Tank?
No.
No way.
Nope.
Not a lot of people have talked about Jake and say he's got good power. Not even and I get anything could technically happen, but you don't even see a realistic shot where he could land one big punch and Tank being so much smaller, he just can't handle the power.
Nah, not at all. I think Tank is he's been boxing his whole life. Been boxing since a kid, so I doubt like that's gonna be an issue or problem. I think Jake is good for where he's at, but I think it's just levels.
What do you think about the role of Tank and Jake Paul fight?
Man, Tank disrespectful to the sport if he choose that over fighting with me. I'm the best fighter in the sport. I've been telling him that. He called cap on it, so if he won't call cap and say I'm not who I say I am, come prove it. I think it's dangerous for him to go back in there and fight Lamont. I think Lamont is a hell of a fighter. I can see that going left. So he better be on his A game.
Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis is a fight that pits skill against size and legacy against spectacle. On one hand, Davis is the proven world champion with elite skill, speed, and experience on the biggest stages. On the other, Paul brings a massive size advantage and the unpredictability that comes with daring to step outside the norm. Fans are left debating, will pure boxing mastery prevail, or can raw size and power create the ultimate shocker? What do you think? Does Tank's skill overcome the weight gap, or does Paul shock the world? Drop your predictions in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share for more explosive fight breakdown.